Hey everyone, Kobutanori here. This is a speed paint that I've been pretty excited to post. It's a drawing I did a little while ago. It was a commission for a friend, and I was pretty excited for it because to me this drawing was a milestone for my art in many ways. This drawing features two characters standing in front of what many people know as the tower from Sword Art Online, a very popular anime. This drawing was for a couple of friends and included a bunch of references to media that they enjoyed throughout. So you can find a lot of references to different shows such as SAO, Harry Potter, and maybe a Pokemon one at the end. I struggled a lot with this drawing. I think the composition was difficult, figuring out the angles as well as drawing the tower were both very new experiences for me. I have had experience drawing like clouds as well as nature backgrounds in the past, so that wasn't like especially new, but I did struggle a lot with some of the lighting, especially trying to get the sun to feel a little bit more bright and colorful. Additionally, because there are two characters, there has to be some sort of pose interaction, and that also added a level of complexity to the drawing that I had not really encountered before. So in many ways this drawing was difficult, and because of that the speed paint is not as easy to watch as I would like it to be. There are parts where you'll see that I'll be sketching and doing lines like 2 to 3 times over, as well as recoloring 2 to 3 times over, because that's just the process that happens with these types of drawings. However, I did try to cut out most of the stuff that I thought could cut out without like erasing anything that would like make this not a super cohesive speed paint. So I hope you guys enjoy, but just keep that in mind as you watch. Because art is not really a linear path, sometimes you want to go back and rework things, but especially in the context of a speed paint, I don't really want to waste your guys' time watching me, struggle to draw an arm for 15 minutes. That's just no fun for anyone, so I hope you guys don't mind the little edits that I made throughout the drawing. Now, the reason why I kind of consider this drawing a milestone was number one, because of the complexity. In a lot of ways I was trying a lot of new things with this drawing in terms of the composition, the lighting, the tower, the poses, and being able to, struggle but still execute really well, because I'm really happy with how this drawing turned out, I think was very gratifying for me. Additionally, I feel like I learned a lot about lighting in this. I think through most of the drawing I was playing around with the lighting, and I knew I wanted something sunny, but the lighting just never quite turned out right. I think towards the second or third attempt I started looking up a lot of reference images to try to figure out what I was doing wrong, and eventually I found a reference drawing where it was in very bright sunlight but the characters' faces were in a very dark shadow, and I thought to myself, well, those are some dark shadows for such a bright drawing. And then it kind of occurred to me that maybe what I was missing in my drawing was actually really bright shadows, and so with that logic in mind I actually put a multiply layer which kind of darkens the shadows a little bit more, and voila, like the lighting was perfect and it was exactly how I wanted it to be. So the thing I kind of realized about myself then was that I did not want to put my characters' faces in shadow because I felt like that would be covering them. You kind of usually think of shadows as darkness, things that you don't want light to reach and details to be in. However, I realized that that is really not the case. The shadows in this drawing actually, to me, emphasize the characters' faces, and I think that it makes the drawing much more lively and dynamic. It makes them feel more immersed in their backgrounds. So just as kind of like a tip for any artists that are struggling with lighting, don't be afraid to use dark shadows. There are lots of details you can add in dark shadows to make the characters stand out, and covering their face in shadow does not necessarily mean obscuring their face. I also had a chance to kind of experiment drawing this little girlie's froggy hat. It was requested by the commissioner and I thought it was really cute. I was given kind of like a little knit froggy hat and I really wanted to emulate the knit texture. I don't typically draw knit clothing a lot, but it was actually really fun. Typically what you're really taught in painting is that you're not supposed to do each detail by hand. You're supposed to kind of like imply the detail, because if you draw, like if you're literally drawing in every single detail, like every single leaf on a tree, that's just too much information to process. The brain actually kind of simplifies it down example, like the tree, it simplifies it down to like a green shape with like shadows in a specific pattern. So ideally you're supposed to emulate that rather than drawing every single leaf on the tree, but I took it upon myself to draw every little knit thing in the knit hat just because I felt like it and thought it would be a fun challenge, and I think it turned out really nice. Additionally, because the character is more in focus, I thought it would make more sense if I kind of fleshed out the details a little bit more. The tower was kind of an interesting thing to tackle. I personally like to paint a little bit more, so I kind of lined the tower and then I just painted on top of it because it's typically easier to draw a lot of the details, the finer details, when you paint. I kind of struggled a lot with the tower just because I felt like it didn't look right, even though I wasn't really sure why. I think in the end I kind of got over that and I figured, you know, it looks fine. The one thing that was really hard was like trying to figure out like the whole detail thing I told you guys about earlier. Like I wasn't sure, was I supposed to detail out every window in the tower, every nook and cranny, and it was just kind of impossible. I looked at tons of images, and there are tons of them because this is the tower from Sword Art Online, so it has lots of reference images to look at, but I wasn't exactly sure how the artist like really illustrated them in those drawings. Like it almost looked like it was 3D modeled because of how consistent the details were across the tower. So I'm not exactly too sure, but I'm pretty happy with what I came out with anyways, especially given the fact that the tower is kind of farther in the distance, so there's some atmospheric lighting going on with it. You guys can see that I had a lot of fun painting clouds in this. It kind of really helped with the composition to do like that really like gusty, windy day with all of the clouds flowing around. My big trick with clouds is to always add like different types of blues. I think it's fun to add little yellows into the shadows as well as more saturated blues. It just makes the colors more fun to me, especially when you consider that the sky is blue and it's kind of reflecting blue light onto the clouds. So the clouds, the shadows should typically be a little bit blue, and then the sunlight is yellow, so maybe you can add a little bit of yellow. But yeah, overall I'm very happy with how this drawing turned out. I think the way that the girl is playfully biting on the boy's arm is very cute. I think the pose turned out very natural. It wasn't natural at the start, but I tried really hard. I made a lot of edits and redraws just to make sure that it felt very natural and flowy. Anyways, this was a big drawing. I think it took almost like 60 or 70 hours to draw over the course of a couple of months, but I'm happy with how it turned out, and I'm happy that I'm getting through this speed paint and able to show it to you guys to like kind of see my process. Currently, there's not a whole lot going on in my life in terms of my cooking adventures, so I am forever on the hunt trying to make proper Chinese barbecue pork, or like a char siu. Essentially, my family's problem is that ours never tastes like the restaurants or even like Ranch 99's. For some reason, Ranch 99's is much better quality, and I have no idea why. I did a lot of research and I tried to make my own the other day, using like bottled sauce, which is apparently supposed to be just as good because a lot of the spices are kind of hard to obtain, and also I was just too lazy to go get them. So I made it with the sauce, and honestly it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Like I felt like Ranch 99's barbecue pork is still a lot better, and that kind of made me disappointed, but you know, maybe I'll think about it some more and try to figure out why my method isn't working out well, and then I'll reevaluate. In terms of other things that I plan on cooking, I'm not too sure. I really kind of want to make tandoori chicken because we've never been able to make that properly either, but that's kind of a lot of work, especially because I think a lot of the charm with tandoori chicken is that like it's like cooked over like a charcoal grill. You get that nice like grill charred flavor. But we'll see. I'm kind of interested in making all of these because food at restaurants is expensive now, and it'd be nice if I could figure out how to make them. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. It's a little bit of a long one, but you know, you can always skip through and like look at parts of the process that you enjoy or want to see. It's not really super linear, but I hope it's good enough for you guys.